So sharing just happens. You feel something and say it. And then suddenly just the thought came of the phoenix. How the phoenix is a bird that really comes from the ashes, comes out alive, feels so much life. But life just, bursts in the phoenix. A burst of life, a fountain, a spring. Just suddenly burst. This phoenix coming out, his open eyes, and there was so much life. Maybe at the end his eyes were pale, he was almost dead, and then suddenly just life came in the phoenix. He just opened his eyes. So life itself opened its eyes. Life opened the eyes of the phoenix. It's like, life opens your eyes and it opens your heart, and it is life that is there, expressing itself through the body directly. It is expressing itself through everything, speaking, and it's all there is. It's just this is it. So it is everything. It is what is being looked for. Just life itself. I read one quote from Bodhidharma before. It says that basically, what is moving things? What is moving the river? If you hear the fridge, what is making a sound? What is speaking? What is creating? And what is also perceiving all this simultaneously, creating and perceiving? What is this? Such a miracle. This itself. We just go into the context of something, context inside of it. Like mathematics, like finances. We talk about specifics. And the specifics are also, just wonder, but they're like wonders inside the wonder. It's already such a wonder here. And from it, many stories just can get extrapolated. There's worlds inside every little world. It's just worlds inside one another that you just live one world and you just oblivious to the big picture, to what is this. Phoenix is an amazing example. To just be the phoenix. One of the greatest things a human can do, just be a phoenix. Life just goes through you and expresses itself. Yeah. And I also remembered my death day. I call it my death day. But it's really just the end of seeking, I like to make stories and say, okay, that's the death day. Yeah, just yesterday, since last year, so like yesterday, seeking ended, and yeah, I was just concluding my funeral, so yesterday I attended my funeral. I said You're a good guy. uh, story, and um, I'm a bit more alive now than at the time. At the time, at the end of the seeking, I was just so dead. I was just, life was just coming out. I was just losing life, trying to pick up on anything. But now I dress well for it now. Now I dress well for the funeral. I, like, okay, like have to look, good for my death day. So it's like I can receive it well. Can see, okay, how the phoenix is looking now after a year. How is it expressing this? In a way, I didn't really care. The seeking ended and so ordinary. And I just didn't care to share it even. I didn't care to speak about it. Just remained a secret. In fact, after some time, I spoke with my dad and told him, I'm just peaceful for some time, He was like, really, that's something, Like, no, it's just, it doesn't mean anything. It was just a release, that's all. There's nothing, it's just ordinary. My mind kept trying after to say, okay, well, what's going to happen after death? And I just knew all this was deep down. I knew it was just ideas, and so I couldn't hook up with the mind story anymore. So like before, when the seeking was there, I was always hooking up with the new story, of the mind, and just identifying myself with it. But when the seeking ended, the story still continued with the mind. I still asked questions, but I didn't hook up with it. So deep down, there was no hooking up with it. So it seemed outside that I was hooking, but it's just, it was just, completely holographic. The guy's just doing that. He's just saying, like the ghost body is just saying, oh, what I'm going to do, what's going to happen after death. It was just seen through. It's just this ghost body doing this, continuing to be itself, but it's just insubstantial. That's why it's really hard to describe it, this end of seeking. Such mystery. And I just continue to be functional, before I was just meditating continuously, trying to get somewhere and so on and so forth. But then just lost that interest. Although I knew it is the best thing for me, that it like is the right thing, is better for my health, to meditate and see through stuff and conditionings and other like any other type of self-investment, like working out or eating sattvic food, better food, way of living. But I just didn't think it was that important, so I just didn't care. I just let it all happen, and sometimes I would care. So when I need to care, I would care. I would care only a certain level of caring, very functional way of thinking, I was very functional about it. It's interesting, and then I didn't really care about, watching old videos on, like Papaji, which I consider great sage, and I still do. He's a beautiful man, but afterwards it was like, oh, it's just a guy sitting here. It's so boring, like. And and I just continued like that. But so when I came back to form, well, you have to come back to life and form, matter. I started to realize actually that my conditioning has been so bad before, like in the time of the seeking, that I need to do like to really integrate the emptiness, to really open the eyes of the phoenix, to really bring life back to the body, or the emptiness back into form, to express itself, you know, in the body. And I just yeah, start to see that as just a natural process, you know, of evolution, of just, you know, of the human being, and then just to see, well, actually, my threshold of conditioning was on a certain level where I just automatically, you know, get these conditionings in the body, these addictions, these ways of thinking, or I'm just conditioned by it. And I needed to just rewire the conditioning to that it just, you know, reaches a little higher threshold, you know. That's what they call integration work, where integration is just you try to, you had a lot of conditioning like throughout your life that was negative, not having enough love maybe when you were young, talk about myself, and so on and so forth, or addictions, and so it really created bad patterns in the body, and these bad patterns, they need to be rewired. So I started to continue actually to meditate again, from the emptiness, from like non-seeking, but really seeing that, yeah, it is important. You know, it's not okay, this is what I need to do with my life every day. No, it's like, yeah, it's really important. Obviously important. There is a lot of conditioning here. So that's what I started to do again. I was doing it also at the time of the seeking, at the end of the seeking. And you know, during most of the seeking, it was just conceptual. I would just try to bring out one answer, you know, that's it, and not think about it. You know, just one solution, and not, you know, and not one concept. You know, I'm a programmer. I'm just trying to find out the final concept, and just pin it down. And that's it. Not think about it. You know, and that may create a mini happiness, a small jnana, you know, a small feeling, temporary, like, yeah, I found it, so I don't need to think about it. I'm just gonna throw, you know. So it's like just using it, you know. And then at the end of the seeking, I started to meditate. And that opened things up for me, you know, rewiring the body. And I rewired the body to a large extent, you know. But it was such a, you know, an opposite force to the conditioning. Conditioning has been for years, right? So that it was so forceful, you know. Like I really shifted my conditioning, but in a very forceful way, you know. So the conditioning still has momentum, you know. It doesn't get in right away. It needs, you know, to be taken at least bit by bit, or it needs time, a little bit more time, you know. So when I started to let go of meditation, because the seeking started to die, it to be chopped off bit by bit because of the inquiry, basically. I would do self-inquiry, vipassana, just scanning the body and looking for yourself. Not even the body, scanning the world around me and looking for yourself around me. And then that was the main meditation. And then I would just you know, I developed my own homegrown ideas, you know. And I was just trying every idea, seeing what works, what doesn't work, like programming a new method and seeing what happens. Yeah, I developed a lot of ideas, and then I would just ask questions and try to figure out, yeah, like when I get an answer, I would investigate that answer, and okay, what supports the answer, and I would look for the support in my dark experience, and then say, okay, well, what supports the support, and I would take the easiest support to check, something like very analytical meditation, you know, and the easiest thing to check and the hardest things to check later, and to granulate my investigation, so that I would take the easiest things, maybe the body parts, and then go to the hard ones. And it's just nested inquiry, like, you know, there was always an answer. My brain would come up, and then I would investigate that answer further, And basically, the basic inquiry is checking for substantiality in anything, right? There's a self in anything that creates or receives anything, or is in relationship to anything. Basically, color in relationship to geometry, everything. I was very analytical, but it really created a lot of emptiness and happiness. And then I just moved to the heart and to just bhakti. I would just stay with the most intimate feeling and just be with it. And the feeling would open itself up to me, so I didn't need to investigate it. I would investigate it first, and then it would just open itself up. When it opens itself up, it reveals, you know, like deeper levels of abstraction without having to ask a question and get an answer. That was the bhakti state. And I remember my first love, you know, the girl I first loved, and she was the reason I started to seek 10 years. And then I remembered her, and she became my meditation. I just looked at her, I just imagined her. You know, first time we met, and then I just felt something. And then, I don't know, it's like, you know, vibration. And then when I went, you know, just a little bit deeper with her in conversation, I reached a moments of silence, where I couldn't say anything. I just looked at her. And I see everything. I see myself. I see the whole world. You know, it's just I couldn't tell her that. You know, in a way I told her that, but without the words, I would just look at her, and I just see so much. It's just too much. I would be afraid to continue looking. You know, I would just look at the other side because I can't. It's too much. It's too threatening to the character. It just opens me up. I see myself. Everything about her, is just myself. Every gesture, everything. I know it is me. I know it is too well. I know it too well. Life knows itself too well. So, and I remembered her. I just stayed with her. I just stayed with her imagination, and through her, life was opening itself up. What I was looking for was opening itself up to me through her, trying to reach me out through her. And then I found her here also. So that the feeling inside of intimacy, I was trying to investigate and saying, okay, well, what's the most intimate feeling? In the intimate feeling, I was doing kind of like an introspection there, but it was no different than remembering her. It started to be the same, or watching, just imagining her, or seeing a picture or anything. It was exactly the same. So I just stayed with her, and silence. I started to feel. They call it silence, but it's more. It is like that. It's like a silence of all thoughts, silence of questions and answers. You break through time and space, and then there's just no feeling of time and space. That the time is important, because time is important for somebody going somewhere. It was just, this is a destination, So this was a destination. I was here with the destination, and that's it. And I couldn't go anywhere. I just be with her here. I remember the feeling, the initial feeling, that I was trying to catch. And then, so what was life was trying to tell itself to me, that I'm here, I am this, I am what you're looking for. And then without the image, I would just be able to sit and do nothing. And just the same feeling, the same emptiness would be there, same silence, refined by love. So love refines the feeling of emptiness. and you realize you've been running away from it all your life. This life itself. So I just stay with it, and it keeps opening. I would look at the walls, and still there's just the silence. And love is trying to say the silence. And I would just stay with it. Even, yeah, I feel even shadows of it now, shadows of it. There's higher intensities of it. Yeah, I described like what I was doing meditation practice. And that's it. And I will repeat, so sometimes the mind is too much, and I will come back to Vipassana, or like to doing some inquiry work, to like check the thoughts and take the thinker of the thoughts, or investigate the thoughts themselves, not necessarily the thinker. Basically, any investigation that nests, that not just stays with a certain answer and says, okay, I got the answer. No, I will get the answer and then further ask about it. The same previous question, or something that validates it as an answer. What validates it? I'll keep trying to validate the validation itself. When I go with the validation and try to validate, there's a nesting process like that, and then I will come back and so on and so forth. Yeah, so I started not to care about it too much. I started not to care too much about the practices, and then every intention became, when I sit with the silence, I didn't feel there's a lot to do. I would just sit with the silence. So there's no need for thoughts or to even imagine or doing. So I became more tired in a way. And I started not to care about my conditionings again, as I cared so much about them during meditation. So conditionings start to come back, but I stay with the silence because I would still be able to stay with the silence, even though the conditionings came back, because I still had that momentum. So I figured out if I just go a little bit to the mind, like to remove some ideas or thoughts and emptying them out of the mind, that will be enough energy just so I can come back to the silence and just be with it. So I just stay with the silence. I didn't care about my conditioning as much as I did, and so some of the conditioning came back, and I just stay with the silence. And so less and less action. I started to take less and less action, and my seeking started to become more of a stream, narrower stream. I became more tired. And moments of dark night come. So that's the reaction of the conditioning. The conditioning reacted to my meditation practice. So I reached the dark night of the soul because the seeking became weaker and weaker to do anything, to deal with the conditioning. Became weaker. So the conditioning reacted back, and I reached the dark night of the soul. We call it dark night. It's basically, just feeling like life is everything's just horrible. You want to kill yourself. At one moment I was just like that. I pretty much just kill myself. Too much conditioning. It all came at one time, and I couldn't find the power to do anything. I was just weak, completely. So when it ended, I was really finalizing my funeral. When it ended, I was just, but part of me was so happy, but it just didn't appear on me. It didn't show up on me, but it was so happy. I remember like conversation between, like with my mind, and my mind would be like, "You're happy now? You're out of the condition." And part of me would be like, I was just so happy. Another part of me was like, "You're happy? You're out of the conditioning? You're a loser now." I'm like, yeah, I guess. Part of me would be like, it's like, it's interesting, it's like, you develop the conditioning becomes a character, it's like the conditioning itself comes up as a character and says, "Oh, it's like, you think you're out now." Really weird. You know, it's like go somewhere else now. You know, go. I'm like, okay, okay. You know, it's strange. So yeah. So you know, as I said, and yeah, I started to you know, not care about it, and I started to care about it gradually. Deal with the condition, because it really is tough conditioning. You know, a lot of addictions. I don't know. You know, procrastination, all types of addiction. I don't have to say all my addiction. And then yeah, now I'm starting to do meditation again, and you know, yeah, change, rewire my energy. You know it's possible. You don't care much about it, but now I see. Well, it's important. It looks important. It's like I'm hungry. Need to eat. You know, okay, it's important now. Yeah, now it's important to concentrate on it a little bit. Yeah. That's why I really think meditation is important for human beings in general. Like, it's really important to be able to release your energy somehow. You know, find some way to release your energy. It doesn't have to be meditation. You know, it can be anything, any action, work, art, anything, any action, whatever that is, life generally, and it just releases maximum energy, makes you feel maximum energy, and you don't give it too much energy. You know, so at the end result, there's no net loss. You know, so this is like you could say like a framework of like what will be the your specific way of meditation or generating energy, you know, in your body. It can be just food, okay, you know, food is an aspect. Breathing exercises, I'm doing also some now, like just, it's more like an exhalation exercise, you know, I just exhale, you know, and I let the breathing happen by itself. I just developed it by myself. I think it's there also, but I just thought it's better to, you know, use the energy in the body and release it, you know, so then the body can then take the energy that it needs. These are all just ideas, and so yeah, I think that's important. You know, just when somebody says, okay, that job is more of my passion. I want to do my passion. Passion just releases energy, maximum energy, without investing too much energy. So that's like a passion. You know, we don't always get to do that, right? So there has to be something that you're doing that is a passion, or like the energy release. What releases your energy makes you feel energized maximum without giving it too much investment. Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of looking for something like that also professionally. And yeah, this is this is like basically what I have to share. Yeah, this is my longest non-duality video. Yeah. So peace be to you, whoever you are, wanderer, lover of truth, wherever you are, and yeah, I guess that's the end of my video. Yeah. So take care of yourself.